You are one decision away from an entirely different life. Not 100, not 1,000, just one. And that decision begins the moment you open your eyes in the morning. What you tell yourself in that quiet, sacred moment before the world comes rushing in, that determines everything. Because before your feet hit the ground, your mind decides how your day will unfold. And if your mind isn't trained, the world will train it for you. That's why you must speak to yourself before the world gets a chance to. Every morning, there are 7 lines you must say, 7 truths, 7 affirmations, 7 commands. These aren't just words. These are blueprints. They don't just inspire you, they build you. Say them, believe them, live them. Because your words shape your identity, and your identity shapes your destiny. Let's begin with the first line. I am in control of my mind, and my mind is strong. This statement may appear simple, but it carries profound power when spoken and internalized daily. Your mind is the command center of your life. Every decision, every reaction, every emotion, every belief stems from the thoughts you allow to dominate your mental space. Most people wake up and immediately hand over control of their mind to the world. They grab their phones, scroll through negativity, compare their lives to others, and start the day in a reactive, unintentional mode. But you are not most people. You are here to take your power back. When you say this line each morning, you are reminding yourself that your mind is not a playground for fear, doubt, or outside influence. It is your fortress, and you are its guard. Your mind will either work for you or against you. Left untrained, it can become your worst enemy. It can exaggerate your fears, replay your past mistakes, and convince you that you are unworthy of change or success. But when you take control, when you train your mind with intention, it becomes your most powerful asset. This affirmation isn't about ignoring reality or denying emotions. It's about declaring your role as the leader of your internal world. You are no longer a slave to your impulses or emotions. You understand that you can't always control what happens outside, but you can always control what happens inside. Most battles in life are won or lost in the mind before any action is taken. When you approach your day with the belief that your mind is strong, you begin to notice a shift. Suddenly, stress doesn't crush you, it challenges you. Criticism doesn't break you, it sharpens you. Failure doesn't stop you, it teaches you, because you've made a decision to lead from a place of strength, not fear. When something or someone tries to disrupt your peace, you return to this truth. I am in control. You don't respond out of panic, you respond with purpose. There is a massive difference between reacting and responding. Reacting is emotional. Responding is intentional. When you declare this line each day, you're programming yourself to respond, not react. You're creating space between stimulus and response. And in that space lies your growth, your discipline, and your power. Your mind, once a noisy, chaotic place, becomes a clear, focused environment, not because the noise disappears, but because you decide what stays. Your mind strength isn't measured by how loud it is. It's measured by how calm you can remain in the middle of the storm. Life will test you. People will try to trigger you. Situations will push you. But when your internal dialogue begins with the truth that you are in control, you stop giving others the remote control to your mood. You start choosing your state of mind. You start mastering the space between emotion and decision. This practice, done daily, is like building muscle. The more you affirm your mental strength, the more resilient and clear-headed you become. The voice of fear gets quieter. The voice of clarity gets louder. You don't allow negative thoughts to build a home in your mind. You acknowledge them, and then you lead them out. You set the tone, the rules, the boundaries. Your mind no longer runs you. You run it. You feed it with intention. You guard it with discipline. You command it with strength. I am becoming better, wiser, and stronger every day. This simple yet powerful affirmation anchors you in the truth that growth is a daily process, not a one-time event. So many people wake up feeling like they're behind in life. They look at what they haven't accomplished, what they haven't fixed, what they still lack, and they carry that weight into their day. But this mindset robs them of progress, because when you believe you must be perfect now, you forget the power of becoming. This line breaks that illusion. It reminds you that progress is your mission, not perfection. You don't need to leap mountains today. You just need to climb a little higher than yesterday. Becoming better, wiser, and stronger is about evolution. Every experience, good or bad, has the potential to grow you if you choose to learn from it. Every challenge is a teacher. Every failure is a guide. When you affirm that you're improving daily, you shift your identity from someone who wants to change into someone who is changing. It becomes part of who you are. And identity shapes behavior. The more you believe you're becoming better, the more your actions begin to align with that belief. This mindset also gives you permission to be human, to make mistakes, to not have it all together. You stop beating yourself up for where you are and start building excitement about where you're going. You stop comparing your journey to others because you understand your only competition is who you were yesterday. With this line, each day becomes a brick in the foundation of your future self. Some bricks are heavier than others. Some are messy, but every one of them matters. And when you repeat this affirmation, you remind yourself that every effort counts, even the small, invisible ones. Wisdom doesn't come from age, it comes from awareness. Strength isn't just physical, it's emotional, mental, spiritual. And better doesn't mean bigger or louder, it means more aligned, more purposeful, more refined. You can't always see your growth, but that doesn't mean it's not happening. Trees grow underground long before the fruit is visible. The same is true for you. Some days you may feel stagnant, like nothing is changing. But if you're showing up, learning, reflecting, trying, that's progress. And the more you acknowledge that, the more motivated you become to keep going. This line also disrupts self-doubt. It silences that voice that says you're not there yet with a calm and confident, yes, but I'm getting there. It helps you develop resilience because you begin to understand that struggles don't define your identity, they refine it. You become less frustrated by setbacks and more focused on the comeback. Because every day you repeat this line, you're building mental endurance. You're training your brain to recognize growth, even in discomfort. And the best part is that this growth compounds. When you become 1% better each day, the results over time are exponential. You're not rushing your journey, you're respecting it. You're not obsessed with the outcome, you're mastering the process. And this kind of daily self-reminder instills patience. You stop looking for instant results and start looking for daily wins. You become someone who doesn't just dream about a better life, but builds one, intentionally and gradually. This affirmation becomes a filter through which you view the world. You begin asking better questions, making better decisions, surrounding yourself with better people. You're not settling, you're upgrading, bit by bit, brick by brick, and the momentum builds silently until one day you look back and realize how far you've come, not because you sprinted, but because you never stopped walking. I release what I can't control, and I protect my peace. These words are not just a morning affirmation. They're a boundary, a declaration, and a lifestyle. In a world that constantly throws distractions, drama, and emotional chaos your way, holding on to everything will only drain your energy and break your spirit. The truth is, you cannot control other people's opinions, attitudes, actions, or decisions. You can't control how they see you, treat you, or talk about you. You can't control outcomes, timelines, or the unexpected. But what you can control is how much of your energy you allow to be consumed by these things. This line reminds you to draw a line between what belongs to you and what doesn't. Too often, we carry emotional weight that isn't ours to bear. We replay conversations that are over. We try to fix people who aren't ready to change. We dwell on things that already happened or haven't even happened yet. That's mental and emotional clutter, and it steals your peace. Peace is not found by fixing everything outside of you. It's found by managing everything within you. When you say this affirmation every morning, you're not giving up or becoming passive. You're choosing your battles wisely. You're stepping into your power by refusing to be controlled by what's out of your hands. Releasing what you can't control is an act of strength, not weakness. It takes courage to say, this is not mine to fix. It takes wisdom to step back instead of forcing an outcome. It takes maturity to allow people to be who they are and situations to unfold as they will. That doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care about your mental health enough to stop overextending yourself. You start asking yourself better questions. Is this worth my energy? Is this stealing my joy? Is this helping or hurting me? Protecting your peace is not selfish, it's necessary. Your peace is your power. When you lose it, you lose clarity, focus, and the ability to respond calmly. But when you protect it, you remain centered. Even when the world feels chaotic, you become the calm in the storm. That doesn't mean nothing affects you, but it does mean nothing owns you. People may try to provoke you, stress may try to overwhelm you, negativity may try to get inside, but you've already set the tone for your day. You've already drawn the line. You're choosing peace and you're not negotiating it. Some people feed off of drama. Some situations are designed to pull you into a storm, but not everything requires your energy. Not every opinion deserves a response. Not every conflict needs your presence. The moment you internalize this truth, you stop wasting time trying to prove your worth or defend your boundaries. You realize silence is sometimes the loudest answer. Distance is sometimes the deepest form of self-respect. And letting go is sometimes the most powerful move you can make. This mindset also frees you from perfectionism. It frees you from trying to control every outcome. You can plan, prepare, and act with excellence, but once you've done your part, you surrender the rest. You give yourself permission to breathe. You detach from expectations that aren't serving you. You replace stress with faith, anxiety with action, resistance with flow. You no longer panic when things don't go your way because your peace isn't tied to circumstances. It's tied to your decision to let go. Each morning, when you say this affirmation, it becomes easier to notice what's stealing your peace. It becomes easier to pause, reset, and realign. You learn to value your internal world more than external noise. You start creating a life that supports your mental well-being, not just your productivity. And in doing so, you take back your time, your energy, your clarity, one thought at a time. I am worthy of love, success, and happiness. These words are a direct strike at the root of most people's inner struggles, self-worth. Many walk through life acting confident on the surface while silently doubting if they're truly enough. They chase validation through relationships, achievements, or approval, thinking these external wins will finally make them feel worthy. But that's an exhausting game with no finish line. This line reminds you that worthiness isn't earned, it's recognized. You don't become worthy because you succeed or because someone chooses you or because you meet a certain standard. You are worthy simply because you exist. That truth alone changes the way you show up in the world. Saying this affirmation each morning is like pouring nourishment into the soil of your soul. It reshapes how you treat yourself, how you let others treat you, and what you believe you deserve. People who question their worth often settle for less love, for less respect, for less opportunity. They shrink themselves to fit someone else's comfort zone. But when you wake up and affirm your worth, you begin to raise the bar. You no longer tolerate what drains you. You no longer accept breadcrumbs when you deserve the whole feast. You move through life not with arrogance, but with quiet certainty. You know you are enough, and that changes everything. Your sense of worth affects your decisions. It affects the jobs you apply for, the boundaries you set, the people you allow into your life, and the standards you hold yourself to. If you don't believe you're worthy of good things, you'll sabotage them when they come. You'll push away love. You'll procrastinate on success. You'll settle in relationships that reflect how little you think of yourself. But when you begin to affirm your worth, you start making different choices. You show up fully. You stop apologizing for taking space. You stop over-explaining your value. You just live it. Affirming your worth also builds resilience, because even when life gets hard, even when people disappoint you, even when you face failure, you know those things don't define you. Circumstances don't determine your worth. Rejection doesn't subtract from it. Criticism doesn't shrink it. That unshakable belief becomes your armor. It gives you the courage to try again, to believe again, to keep showing up, even when it's uncomfortable, because you understand you're not chasing worth, you're standing in it. This mindset also helps heal the wounds of the past. Many people carry messages they absorbed in childhood or past relationships, messages that said they weren't good enough, smart enough, beautiful enough, capable enough. Those messages became internal narratives, shaping how they see themselves and what they believe is possible for them. But this daily affirmation is how you rewrite that script. You speak a new story over your life, one where you are not defined by old pain or other people's opinions, one where you choose to believe in your own light, no matter how many times the world tried to dim it. When you declare you are worthy of love, success, and happiness, you also begin to treat yourself with more compassion. You forgive yourself more easily. You take care of your health, your time, and your energy. You stop putting your needs last. You stop punishing yourself for not being perfect. And that self-love begins to ripple outward. You start attracting better experiences, deeper connections, more aligned opportunities, not because the world suddenly changed, but because you did, because your energy changed, your standards changed, your beliefs changed. And all of that begins with a simple decision: to believe that you are worthy. Not tomorrow, not when you reach some goal, not when someone else finally sees it, but right now. This belief is the foundation upon which everything else is built. Because when you believe you are worthy, you show up differently. You expect more, give more, and become more, not out of desperation, but out of alignment, out of wholeness, out of truth. I am focused, disciplined, and consistent. This is not just an affirmation. It's a personal contract with your future. In a world filled with distractions, temptations, and instant gratification, the ability to stay focused is one of the most underrated superpowers. Most people don't fail because they lack talent or potential. They fail because they lose focus. They jump from idea to idea, goal to goal, without finishing what they start. They get caught in the cycle of starting strong and fizzling out. But when you wake up and speak these words over yourself, you are training your mind to stay locked in. You are setting a clear intention to guard your attention and put it where it truly matters. Discipline is what separates dreamers from doers. It's what gets you out of bed when motivation is nowhere to be found. Discipline is not about punishing yourself. It's about honoring your commitments, especially the ones you made to yourself. It's about saying no to what feels good in the moment so you can say yes to what's best for your future. When you affirm that you are disciplined, you begin to see structure not as restriction, but as freedom. You start realizing that every disciplined action you take today is a vote for the person you want to become tomorrow. Consistency is the bridge between intention and achievement. It's not about going all out one day and disappearing the next. It's about showing up again and again, even when it's boring, even when it's hard, even when it feels like nothing is happening. Because results don't come from what you do occasionally. They come from what you do consistently. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you build momentum. Every time you push through resistance, you reinforce your belief that you can trust yourself. That kind of inner trust is the foundation of confidence, not fake surface level confidence, but deep, unshakable belief in your ability to follow through. This affirmation also helps you take ownership. When you say you are focused, disciplined, and consistent, you stop blaming circumstances, people, or timing. You stop waiting for the perfect conditions and start working with what you have. You realize that progress is not about being lucky. It's about being intentional. It's about making time instead of waiting for it. It's about doing the work when it's exciting and when it's not, because growth isn't always glamorous. It's often found in the quiet moments when no one is watching and you choose to keep going anyway. The more you affirm this mindset, the more your actions begin to reflect it. You start making different choices. You reduce time spent on distractions, set stronger boundaries, and design your day with purpose. You stop allowing every notification, opinion, or impulse to hijack your focus. You become the kind of person who finishes what they start, who follows through, who stays committed even when the results are slow. And eventually, those small acts of focus and discipline compound into massive transformation. This mindset also protects you from burnout, because when you're focused, you stop trying to do everything. You get clear on what matters and cut out the noise. You realize that doing less with more intention often creates better results than doing more with scattered energy. You stop reacting and start leading. You stop being pulled in 100 directions and start moving in one powerful direction with purpose and clarity. And that's when everything begins to shift, not overnight, but with every small, consistent, focused step you take forward. I trust God's timing. I'm aligned, not rushed. These words are a powerful reminder that life is not a race, and your journey doesn't need to follow anyone else's timeline. In a world that glorifies speed, productivity, and constant motion, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that if things aren't happening quickly, they're not happening at all. You compare your timeline to others, wondering why they've reached milestones you're still waiting for. But comparison is a thief. It robs you of peace, gratitude, and focus. When you speak this affirmation, you are choosing to operate from faith instead of fear, from alignment instead of anxiety. You're saying that you trust there is a divine rhythm to your life and that what's meant for you will never pass you by. When you trust God's timing, you stop forcing things. You stop chasing after people, opportunities, or situations that aren't aligned with your purpose. You understand that delay is not denial, and waiting doesn't mean wasting. Sometimes the pause is protection. Sometimes it's preparation. And when you rush, you may miss the deep work being done beneath the surface. The things you are praying for often require a stronger version of you to receive them. So rather than rushing to arrive, you focus on becoming. You embrace the process because you know it's shaping you into the person who can handle the blessing. Alignment is not about doing more. It's about doing what's right for you. It's about being rooted, grounded, and connected to your values, your purpose, and your creator. When you're aligned, things begin to flow more naturally. You stop hustling to prove your worth and you start moving with intention. You listen more to your inner voice and less to external pressure. You make decisions not out of fear of missing out, but out of clarity and conviction. You understand that speed doesn't equal success. Some of the most important growth happens in stillness, in silence, in surrender. This affirmation also helps you develop patience, not the kind that is passive and filled with frustration, but the kind that is active and filled with peace. It teaches you to hold space for what you desire while letting go of the need to control when and how it comes. That kind of patience is powerful because it's rooted in trust. You trust that every no is leading to a better yes. You trust that closed doors are divine redirection. You trust that your path is unique and therefore cannot be rushed or compared. And that kind of trust creates peace, even in the middle of uncertainty. Living in alignment also means recognizing the seasons of your life. There's a time to plant, a time to wait, and a time to harvest. Rushing the seasons will only lead to frustration. But when you honor the season you're in, you begin to appreciate the hidden blessings that come with it. Maybe this is your season of building quietly, of healing, of learning, of strengthening your faith. Maybe you're being refined in ways you can't yet see. But trusting God's timing means believing that nothing is being wasted, not your waiting, not your pain, not your effort. It's all part of something greater unfolding. And as you repeat this affirmation each morning, you begin to let go of the pressure to perform, to keep up, to have it all figured out. You replace panic with purpose. You realize you don't need to rush when you're walking in divine timing. You don't need to fear being behind when you're exactly where you're meant to be. You begin to live with a deeper sense of ease, not because everything is perfect, but because your spirit is aligned with the truth that what's meant for you is already making its way to you. You no longer run, you flow. You no longer strive, you trust. You no longer panic, you prepare. And in that quiet confidence, your true power begins to emerge. I am responsible for my happiness and my mindset. This simple yet profound statement shifts the entire power dynamic of your life. When you accept that you are responsible for your own happiness, you stop waiting for external circumstances or other people to make you feel good. You stop handing over your emotional well-being to situations beyond your control. This is not about ignoring pain or hardship, but about reclaiming your power to choose how you respond to life's challenges. Happiness becomes less about what happens to you and more about how you decide to interpret and engage with those events. So taking responsibility for your mindset means acknowledging that your thoughts shape your reality. The way you think influences how you feel, what you believe is possible, and the actions you take. Negative thoughts can trap you in cycles of fear, doubt, and self-sabotage, while positive, empowering thoughts open doors to confidence, creativity, and resilience. This affirmation is a daily reminder that you are the gatekeeper of your mind. You can choose to nurture thoughts that serve your growth or allow destructive patterns to take root. It's a call to become an active participant in your mental and emotional health rather than a passive victim. When you say, I am responsible for my happiness, you embrace the idea that joy is not a destination, but a daily practice. It's about finding moments of gratitude, purpose, and peace, even amid struggle. It encourages you to seek out what nourishes your soul and to create habits that foster well-being. This mindset pushes you to stop blaming others or circumstances for your mood and instead look inward for solutions. It's empowering because it puts you in the driver's seat. You have the keys to your happiness, no matter what the external world looks like. Owning your mindset also means taking accountability for how you interpret life's events. Two people can experience the same situation and respond in completely different ways based on their mindset. One may see failure as a sign of defeat, while the other sees it as feedback and an opportunity to grow. This affirmation encourages you to cultivate a perspective that views setbacks not as the end, but as part of the journey. You start to recognize the stories you tell yourself, stories that limit you, or stories that liberate you, and you choose which ones to believe. This shift in narrative changes your emotional experience and your future outcomes. Responsibility for happiness doesn't mean ignoring legitimate feelings of pain, sadness, or frustration. It means allowing yourself to feel deeply, but also choosing not to stay stuck in those feelings. It's the understanding that while you cannot control every emotion that comes, you can control how long you stay in it and what you do next. This empowers you to seek support when needed, practice self-care, and develop coping strategies that keep your mindset healthy and balanced. It's a continuous process of self-awareness and self-management that builds emotional intelligence and resilience. When you affirm responsibility for your happiness and mindset, you also open the door to greater self-love and self-respect. You realize that you deserve to feel good and that you have the power to create a mental environment where happiness can thrive. This leads to setting boundaries that protect your peace and choosing environments and relationships that uplift rather than drain you. You become less reactive and more proactive in managing your emotional state. That kind of control fosters confidence and inner strength. This affirmation teaches you that happiness is not found in external validation or material success, but in the choices you make every day about how to think and feel. It's about developing a mindset that supports your goals, honors your values, and nurtures your well-being. It's about recognizing that the true source of lasting happiness comes from within and that you are the architect of that inner world. By taking full responsibility for your mindset, you step into a life of greater freedom, peace, and purpose. These are not just morning lines. These are life commandments. Write them down, say them loud, own them, let them echo in your soul. Because how you speak to yourself is how you lead yourself. And how you lead yourself determines where your life will go. Speak life, speak power, speak truth. Every morning. And watch how your world begins to change. Forever.